Hi, I'm David Key, here with six-time NFR qualifier Charly Crawford. Just came off a big win at Guyman, Oklahoma, and we just got back from California, and he won at every jackpot we went to, seems like. So tell me a little bit about your year, how your year's going, what you think about your year. You're roping with Ryan Moats now. Talk a little bit about that.
It's been going good. Rodeo's kind of started off, kind of hit and miss and stuff, new partnership, trying to get a run together, and we just kind of stayed patient, and we was both kind of pretty content and kind of see how the winter went, and winter seemed to do okay, and the good part is I only live about a half hour from Ryan, so we get to go practice. He comes over, I go over there.
Right.
Lots of ropings around here in Stephenville to go to, and we just kind of packed up all of our stuff, 2 good horses, and headed out west, and just got to where, kind of get away from the distractions of being home and everything, and got the jackpot on our good horses, Rodeo on our good horses, and it went good, and got some good roping in, and got a good run together, and so I'm excited for the summer.
A lot of confidence.
Yeah.
Confidence is always a good thing.
Confidence is always good, yeah.
What? How much you win the jackpots out there?
Ryan keeps a lot better track than I do.
30-something
but
thousand,
yeah,
probably?
I'd say kind of right there, yeah.
That's what I kind of figured. I mean, I knew every time we went somewhere, y'all won something.
Yeah.
Roped real good at the jackpots, both of y'all. How much you win at the rodeos? What do you got one right now?
I think I got almost 19,000.
So good start, good winter, good spring.
Yeah.
I mean, the ideal thing to me is if you can have 20 to 30,000 going into Reno, man, you're in good shape. So that's good. That's awesome. Typically you look at a run. To me, I look at a team and a guy that is more consistent roping with a guy that likes to throw a little faster, works good. So on paper, you're supposed to do good together because Ryan typically wants to rope a little faster, and you're a go catch, set it up kind of guy, and give a guy a good shot. And obviously now it's working good. How much you win at Guyman?
I think we went a little over 5,000, 52, 53, right there.
Outstanding rodeo.
Yeah.
So now tell me what else you do when you're not rodeoing.
I've been working on schools down here. Kind of got a lot of schools going up there in Oregon and stuff when I was up there a lot, and had a big roping up there, and now I'm moving down here and kind of staying here most of the time around Stephenville, and working on getting schools put together, and kind of working on getting a place put together down here, and maybe start putting on some jackpots and stuff down here. Just kind of start getting the name built to where eventually when a guy slows down, it's kind of done where you kind of still maintain doing the same thing, but it'd be home.
Work yourself into a career doing something beyond rodeo one of these days.
Yeah.
How old are you?
I'm 35.
35, you bet. Time to start thinking about that. Just kidding. I'm a lot older than that. So now you're from Oregon originally. Where'd you live in Oregon?
I'm from Canby. Born and raised and graduated out of Canby, and then my dad moved to Prineville when I went to college, and then kind of hung out around there for a little while, so I eventually came down here.
So Northwest boy turned Texan, just like everybody else. And what you live with Chad Masters right now, or at his place right now, and which Chad's down, so now you got to run the place.
Yeah.
So what's it like to be around, living around him?
It's great. You talk about if there's any holes in what you're ever wanting to work on as an individual or as a roper. I mean, you can't be around a better guy.
Yeah.
The nicest guy that there is. Works hard. Just whatever his is yours, whatever yours is his, and you just go at it all day and rope, and just a great guy, great family.
And comical on top of that.
He cracks me up. He does, man. If his body could just hold up to the guts that he has inside, there ain't no telling him.
He's got little man syndrome. He thinks he's 6 foot tall or 7 foot tall and bulletproof, and
sure.
and he's trapped in a whatever 5'6" or whatever 140-pound body. But it is comical. If you know Chad, it's comical. Well, cool. So what's your plans for the rest of the year? Let's hear your goals, what you got set for yourself.
Goals is just probably the same as anybody else out here. To keep making a living and keep making money, and it just boils down to work ethic and keeping your horses maintained. And I got a good partner, and we're going to start off here at the end of the month after Wendy Ryan, I'm going to head up there and go home for a little bit, do some schools, and go to Central Point, hit Sisters, and go to all them up there. And then I'll probably right after that go to Clay Cooper's right there around Reno, and kind of just get ready for the summer run.
Right.
And main thing is just to make the NFR and try not to beat yourself out there. And hopefully within 10 rounds this year, you can start learning how to rope a little better. And that's a short arena where a guy gives himself a chance at the end. But just trying not to beat myself when I get there, just kind of having that chip on your shoulder of never winning around, and
Right.
And go back to when I've done good there is just going and roping.
Well, I can say from personal experience, when I started trying to win rounds, I won less than the average every year. So the first 2 years, I won as much as I ever won at the NFR, and I won second, third in the average.
Yeah.
And so, but I never won a round. And then I started trying to win rounds, and I've won more money since then. But still, that average is so huge. And to win a world championship, you got to stay in the average.
Yeah.
And this past year, there's a lot of people on the couch looking at it, and myself including, saying, man, boy, if I would have done this and I'd have done that and whatever. And realistically, had you roped the way you normally rope, no telling what you could have won there, because it was a softer NFR, and for whatever reason, there's always reasons.
Yeah.
From the outside looking in, you can't see them sometimes, but realistically, day in, day out, me and you both, if we go rope our roping and we just go catch, you're gonna win a lot of money, whether it's NFR or wherever. But
And it's such a hard, that's what makes rodeo so great and roping so great. Just like any other sport is you can maintain what you do for a living, and you can get complacent and then end up watching all these kids pass you by.
Right.
So that there's also a time to where, hey, this is what I'm good at, but this is also my holes I need to work on.
Right.
Where I had a really good practice before I left, and everything felt really good, to where I felt like my cold back shot was working real good. Felt like I'm almost too confident. Everything just went so good, and then when I heard my name, it all left.
I understand.
So it was good to where every time that you try something different, and you end up being able to learn from it to where it gets you stronger the next time. So like I say, if a guy ain't still trying to maintain and get better, you end up just getting passed by. So as long as a guy, I think, just keeps trying to work on and stay sharp and work on getting better, but still kind of know your limitations and stuff, and I think a guy can continue to make a living.
Right. So I know the first time I roped with Clay Cooper out there at the NFR, of course I told him, because I messed up so much that year, I told him I'm sorry, I don't know how many times, and every time I'd tell him, man, I'm sorry, and he'd go, in 1,000 years nobody will ever remember this. and it's a good way to look at it, because I was watching a basketball game the other day, and they said that coach told us at halftime to have amnesia, and almost at the NFR you have to be able to have amnesia, or even during the year sometimes, because all of us, you can rope, you can do what you need to do, but that's the hardest part about making a living rodeoing to me, is that constant reminder, and that you can let your confidence get down because you know what you did last time. And if you can actually have amnesia and think of it like the first 2 or 3 rounds is first quarter, and the up to halftime, and then that's the way I kind of do the NFR. And then you can, even if you're struggling, you can kind of put that behind you and go forward, and you kind of make it work, it seems like. But you've got to have something in your mind to be able to kind of trick yourself or something, almost to get that confidence back and move forward. And that's what people don't understand to me about rodeoing for a living, is that is the hardest thing when you go through an FR like that, or when you go through, we've all had them if you've been there very much, or a year, like my year's been that way this year. You don't want to have those years, but that's the way it is. So you got to learn from it, you move on, and hopefully you improve on what you do. Another thing is Charlie helped me this last year a little bit with my scoring and stuff with my horse, one of my horses, because I was struggling with it. And that's one thing that probably a lot of people don't know. People that are avid team roping fans know who's good horsemen, who's got good horses, who they got certain things that they like about certain people. And that's one thing with you, to me. You do a really good job of keeping horses calm in the box and real level, and not getting hyped up and not getting nervous and stuff. And you do good with that type, even with a little more nervous horse, of doing that. Where did you come up with that, or how did you work into that, or where Where'd you learn from that?
My dad's really good with horses. Man, if I could learn just a quarter of what he knows before I die, that'd be doing pretty good. But you know, Chad's real good with horses, and it just always seemed like something that my dad kind of instilled in me. You know, was to try to, you know, get inside, you know, a horse's head and try to figure out kind of what's going to make them calm and what's going to make them work. So when I get somewhere, I have confidence to where I can just rely on myself. I know I got him where I need him to be, where he's going to be on my team. And you know, it's a study right along with when we're talking. It's just as important getting your horse working and getting his mind right than it is our own. You know, like I say, confidence and anybody who's ever competed, whether it's playing football, baseball, basketball, football, I mean, roping, whatever. There's so much mental work to be done, you know, just on keeping your mind sharp, keeping your confidence, especially out there on the road and go so long without practice. And you know, so a lot of people don't understand that horses have them same days too, you know, where they can get to where they're wanting to drop, or every horse is different. Where I think just riding enough of them and studying enough, and you know, watching Chris Cox and you know, watching all those different tapes you can to learn to try to get with your horse to where they want to be on your team.
Right.
So.
Well, so I think that the thing that people don't understand at home about rodeo and with the horse situation is that a lot of times the how important the horses are in the summer, and how in the winter sometimes you can practice, and in the spring you can go practice and stuff, but in the summer when you go down the road, there's not a lot of practices, there's not a lot of time to practice, and so you got to be able to keep your horse working while you're roping, while you're rodeoing. And to me, that's what you do good at. Your style of roping, you never get outside of yourself, basically, or you know, you keep your horses working while you're able to win. You go set up a good shot. That allows your horses to keep working, and then you know, you staying calm on your horses, you staying keeping your horses running to the steers and everything. Then that allows you to be able to go make the same run all summer long. And to me, that's what separates the guys that make the NFR every year, year in, year out, versus guys that maybe make it one time, then they can't make it again or whatever, and the horses being such an important part of that. So, you know, and the NFR the same way, being able to keep your horse working at the NFR and stuff. So to me, that's what you do the best. That's what sets you apart from a lot of guys, and that's what gives you the career that you've had, and whatever career you're going to have to come, however long you want to do this, you can continue to rodeo and be successful at it. Anything else you want to add to that?
You know, it's just a process of studying. I think a lot of times, like we've talked about earlier, every sport, you know, in order to get better, I think studying the best, and you know, surrounding yourself by winners, and you know, reading a lot. Like I've been trying to read, you know, a few psychology books, you know, like the Mind Gym, and Clay Cooper gave me that book, 7 Days in Utopia.
Yeah.
You know, where you learn how to, sometimes dealing with your emotions out here is just as hard as roping the horns. Right. You know, because once you get out here, like you said, there's so many kids that can rope now. You know, that have good horses, but they get out here and just the ups and downs of rodeo, and you know, if a guy can go a couple days and not turn one, or healers might go a couple days, but get the turn in, and when they do, they miss, and you know, being able to hold your emotions together and stick with it, that's a hard deal in any sport. And you know, where I really like studying, you know, like Trevor Brazil's horsemanship. I mean, that guy he's phenomenal to me, going to his place. And you know, I think there's just so many guys that they can rope horns real good, but it's so hard for a lot of people to ride after they rope. Right. And he's one of him and Chad. I love studying them, and Sartain's really good with it. You know, as soon as they rope, they just know where to put them horses' feet to where they got control of the steer every time. Yeah. And you know, that's a talent that's hard to teach. That's just something that, you know, you study, and a lot of God-given talent too. Right. But, you know, so like I say, there's always holes in a guy's in his game, to where you got to maintain what you do, but still work on the things that you still struggle with. So, right. And I think that's just part of everyday life. So. Right.
Well, and that's the deal with me is my whole roping in my life looks like cottage cheese or what's that Swiss cheese got all those holes in it. I have a hard time filling all the holes. And I was thinking when you were saying that Clay Cooper gave you that book 7 Days in Utopia and you were talking about the emotions and stuff, is that's one thing with him is the guy just can't control his emotions. I mean, he's just all over the place, you know. Clay's so excitable and so up and down.
Yeah, just you just never know he's gonna rope a leg or make a catch.
And if you watch him, everybody that talks about him, they watch him on TV, and he's just like.
Yeah.
So everybody's like, man, he never changes his expression. Is he ever happy? Is he ever sad? Is he ever? I mean, what?
He's just like Fonzie, man.
He's just
cool.
like, yeah, exactly. Hey. So, anyways, there's a lot to this, and I think it's interesting because. You know, me and you live it out here on the road, or you know, when you rodeo for a living and stuff. And in any sport, they live the ups and downs and stuff. But when you don't do it for a living and you have a job to go back to, then it's just different. And I think a lot of people at home don't realize what you go through.
And I think a lot of it. I mean, you can, like I say, I'm 35 now, and I should know a lot more than I do by now. But I think it's in anything. You know, what you do for a living, in any kind of sport is I think you learn how to start maintaining your your life and you know.
You hope you do.
Well, I think we all do. You know, what's the definition of insanity is doing the same things over and over, expecting different results. It's also the same thing out here rodeoing.
Right.
You got to be a little insane
Yeah.
and naive, thinking you're going to be perfect, knowing that you're never going to be perfect.
Right.
So.
We call those head horses that a guy just keeps reaching on them over and over and over, and they never duck. And we say, man, that horse is stupid.
He's dumb.
You got to be a little bit stupid to be out here doing this every day and not just blow up. But well, I think it's interesting for people at home, and it's something that everybody deals with, but maybe not on the level that we do. And everybody wants an insight, so I think it's good insight for people to. See a glimpse into our world and what we deal with and kind of how we try to keep it in control. And
what I've always thought was funny is you've been out here, you know, longer than I have by a little bit, but I've gotten old enough out here now too, where I've seen a couple of different generations, and it's funny to see where rodeoing has gone. Because when I first came out here, it was loving, drinking, fighting cowboys. I mean, it was free spirit and.
Right.
And it's different to see where it's kind of turned now, where it's turned into a business. A lot more people now. You and I also is, God's moved first.
Mm-hmm.
You know, where so many people I think have such a hard time with their emotions was when their daily life lives off if they win or if they do good.
Right.
Where I think then that's where Clay Cooper is just, that steady level.
Right.
He knows who he is as a man. He knows who he is with God, and. So it's cool to see that change in rodeo to where it's a little bit more presentable now.
Right. Well, and I think the other, I guess the other spectrum of that is if you look at it from this standpoint is you're older, I'm older. You look at the older generation, I think people start looking at where they're at and what they're doing, and you start realizing that fun and games and life isn't just about what fun I'm gonna have next or whatever. You start looking at your future and where you're at, and so that's when all that comes into play more than when you're a 20-year-old kid and all you can think about is the next bar you're gonna go to, the next,
Right.
your
priorities start getting
right.
more in line.
And so then you start putting everything into perspective and thinking, hey, where's God in my life?
Right.
What I got to have God in my life because there is more to this life than just tomorrow.
Then, and everyone's looking for that edge. Everyone's looking
Right.
for, what is going to make me more successful? What's going to change my life? What's going to turn? And I mean, how many times have we found what we're looking for? I mean, it's a big book, but
Right.
there's a lot of answers there too.
Right.
Where so many people are looking for the next thrill. Looking for the next adrenaline rush, but those are just so much short-term thinking.
Exactly.
That once you go back there, Trey Johnson has probably helped me more than anybody.
Yeah.
With getting the mental focus
Right.
and putting your mental focus on God. And like
Yeah.
he's always talked to me, him and Big Al both, is if you put God first, how can you lose?
Yeah.
If you put God first in your relationships, you know, everything that you do, there's no way you can fail.
Right.
So that's the rush that I think most people are kind of looking for a shortcut is.
Right.
That's kind of the shortcut of life right there, is they open that book up.
Yeah, they're looking anywhere else but that, and once they find that, then all the holes that are in your, like you said, you got holes in your whatever part of your life or whatever, your cheese, so to speak, your Swiss cheese, all the holes start plugging up, and then I agree, it's 100% dead on, and you see it in people's careers out here. You can look at anybody's careers. You can see the best careers fail and just turn disastrous, and you don't see them anymore, and they were at the peak of their career. And then you can see people that their career has skyrocketed, and all because of not having God in their life, it fails, or because of having God in their life and it rises. Right. So I agree 100%. Well, we could go on about this all day. So, but anyways,
kind of topic we can
exactly.
Keep rolling on it.
So, anyways, well, thanks for being on, and look forward to seeing you down the road this year and competing against you, and hopefully I'll beat you some. And you've been beating me up this year, so it's my turn for a little bit. But look forward to seeing you at the NFR anyway. And thanks for being on Keyed Up Rodeo.
Thank you, Dave.
Yeah.